Hey, number 72, Abuelo and the Nieto talking Miami sports. Over there in New York, we have the Nieto, kind of cold this weekend,
About to get
Tyler.
cold. Yeah.
He is very cold. So, Albert, be careful with Albert. He's a great dog, Albert. Don't let him out. He might slip on the snow. And we'll talk Miami sports here. Uh, we're going to be talking about the Dolphins. They have a new coach. Also, some of the moves with the Canes, the possibility of having Mensa as their quarterback. Is that something that is going to get done? Yes or no? If not, what are the options and some of the other positions that they have to take care of before next season after disappointing loss, but they were close. And a lot of people did not think that they were going to be close versus Indiana. We're going to be talking also about the Heat, the possibilities with Hero that is not being available, and what are the possibilities of trades, Hero and some other guys before the deadline. But Tyler, number 72, right?
That's right, number 72. This is a back to another person I haven't heard of. He does have a cool name though, so let me know who number 72 is.
Yeah, you like ketchup, Tyler?
I do like a little bit of ketchup, not too much.
All right. So Bob Hines, defensive tackle for the Dolphins, he was
Mhm.
part of that 1972 team, Tyler. Together in
Okay.
that defensive line with guys like Amani Fernandez, Stanfield, and then of course that great team having there in the backfield, defensive backfield, having Scott and Anderson as their safeties. So Bob Hines, number 72, remembering him today in Abuelo and the Nieto.
That's right. Well, you mentioned it earlier. The Miami Hurricanes seem like a prime candidate right now for Darian Mensah, the quarterback from Duke. Had a great season last year as the best quarterback in the ACC without a doubt. And I don't see why he wouldn't come here. I think this team's formula has been clear over the past few years. Retool at quarterback through the transfer portal. They have some young homegrown players at other positions, but their formula, at least at quarterback, has been get a more experienced guy, throw the most money you have at him. That's been, their prime investment in the transfer portal every year in their recruiting classes has been quarterback. So, I don't see anything changing this year. I expect him to get. And you also kind of got to look at the fact that a lot of the other teams that would throw a lot of money at him, think about Ohio State, think about Georgia, they all have quarterbacks. So when you look at the big players, the teams that are looked at among the elites who have also a big payroll, I think Miami sits at the top of the list there for sure.
Oh yeah, and this guy he's got the goods. He's did very well with Duke. So you expect him to do well here with having a superior team, athletically different. Definitely. He had almost 4,000 yards through the air, 34 touchdowns. He can run it. So and he still got 2 years of eligibility. The thing is whether he's going to stay for the two
Mm.
years. But it's still up in the air, Tyler. There is a hearing coming up next Thursday, and we'll have a good idea after that. Duke is fighting to try to keep him, which I understand. And you tell me, how is it that a guy signs a contract for 2 years that is, up until the end of 2026 NIL deals, and you can actually get into the portal having a contract like that? I don't know. They definitely have to change the rules and the NCAA because that NIL, I think there is all kinds of problems with the way that is set up. I don't know if you see it any different, and I want Mensa to be here with the Canes, but overall, that's something that is kind of hard to understand.
Yeah, and I guess it's hard to address because it's hard for people to feel bad for the teams here, or the institution, because for so many years, obviously, the players were at a fault, but at this situation, they really are at a disadvantage. Because just the way you look at it, there, if a team then decides to go about suing a player and really go through that, let's say Duke really wants to take action against him, that'll hurt their recruiting. That's not the best look for them, for a player thinking, oh, if I go to Duke, they're going to sue me. So, players can keep doing things like this almost without repercussion. They
Well,
technically can get sued.
they already
Um,
sued him as far as not being able to go into the portal.
well,
They
but in
went
that
and then
sense,
they have to let him actually go in.
well, the
But
NCAA, if the NCAA would have to form some specific rule or guideline. But in that instance, you also got to think about the fact how much more money are you making, and how much, if you actually successfully got sued, would you be able to pay that off with the amount of money you're making, being in a better situation? And I'm sure that was used as a selling point, or I'm not sure, but I'm fairly confident that it was. Um, but at the end of the day, yeah, I think right now it's the Wild West. It's very unregulated. I think in the next few years it will be. As much as I want to see these people get money and have freedom, yeah, there's no other league that operates in that manner where players can just bounce around essentially on 1 year contracts, even though they're not on 1 year contracts. So yeah, I think there's something that needs to be fixed there.
yeah, the legal action that they took, I correct myself, is preventing him to actually sign with another team. Yeah, he's already in the portal, and let's see what happens. I think Tyler, there is some kind of a deal, and we're talking money deal, some money going to Duke, and probably that is maybe the solution. Uh, some of other moves, Tyler. It looks like Towery, the linebacker, the veteran that came from Rutgers. He is staying. He's going to apply for another year of eligibility, and it looks like it's going to happen for him. And Moulton, very important guy, the defensive tackle, is coming back. Pringle, the running back, it looked like he was in the portal. Then he decided to come back. So they signed an offensive lineman just very recently from Georgia. A guy 6'7", 305, offensive tackle. So they have made some moves, not as many as people expected, but they also have the possibility of getting the receiver from Duke that went
Yeah,
into the portal. And this is the guy that caught 72 passes. And, he's a smart guy, just like you, Tyler, came from Harvard. So, and then play 1 year at Duke. So it makes sense. Mensa is
that
going to
guy,
be there, and he will be there.
the Rutgers player you mentioned that's coming back for another year. You know what
The
year he
linebacker,
graduated? You know what year he graduated high school?
which year?
The same year that I graduated high school.
All right. So he's been around.
That'll be his that'll be his 8th year of college football.
Well, yeah, but you have some guys from Indiana that are 24, 25, also, Tyler.
Hey,
So,
tell
yeah.
Cristobal if he needs a walk on, I could still run some routes, man.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah, I could still get out there.
yeah.
I don't have much else to
You
do.
know, but Tyler, he wants a 6'2" guy, and you're only 6'1".
That's true.
So
I'm on. Well, they got some little guys out there at receiver. Malachi Tony's a little guy,
that's
but
right.
yeah, we'll see. I think and I think this team is going to continue to be on the up and up. I think they'll you mentioned quarterback, but and then at the other positions they have a lot of young talent that continues to rebuild. I know we saw JoJo Trader enter the portal today. That was one thing to mention. He was he showed flashes. Obviously, he was a highly rated player coming out of high school. Things just didn't work out. He never necessarily cracked the rotation right away. I could have seen him being a part of that, later in his career, but I understand that, you want to get the opportunity as soon as you can. But yeah, he'll be on another team next year.
And something very important. This podcast is presented by Balado Tires, two locations in Miami to serve you better. We're going to be talking about the Dolphins and the signing of Jeff Hafley, the new coach, in just 1 second. But Balado Tires has two locations, Tyler. It's been established in Miami for 63 years, a lot longer than you have been born, a lot longer. They have two locations, Northwest 27th Avenue and 16th Street, also Southwest 8th Street and 67th Avenue. They have very competitive prices. Uh, they have all the major brands and also offering brake repair, which is very important. If you're looking for tires in South Florida, the place to go is Balado Tires. But we're gonna be talking about Dolphins, right, Tyler? How do you see the moves that they made?
Yeah, it's interesting because you look at the Packers defense last year; they weren't exceptional at all. They're actually, I believe, in the bottom half in terms of most rankings. But he has experience. He was a head coach at Boston College. He's also, I was listening to Diana Rossini, who's very well respected NFL insider, talk about it, and she spoke to many different coaches, around the league, kind of who spoke anonymously, and they all said that if you're trying to turn a program around, if you're a team that doesn't necessarily have an identity established yet, needs to change the culture, he's the right person to do so. Doesn't have an outstanding resume necessarily, but just hearing that he has the respect of other coaches is encouraging. Hearing that he has obviously the familiarity with the GM that they hired from Green Bay as well.
Yes, Tyler, I think the relationship with Sullivan, the GM, it was key. Everybody wants to be with a familiar face, somebody that you know, that you have confidence in, that you trust, and that happens everywhere in almost any major business, or any business actually. So that does not surprise, even though the guy from Buffalo was available
Yeah.
last minute. But if this doesn't work out, there's going to be some question marks there regarding regarding that particular coach being available. Now, there's a lot of questions, Tyler, and there's not enough money. That is the problem. You don't have enough money, it becomes difficult. So they have to create some money, Tyler. So I believe that there's going to be some moves. Of course, you start with the quarterback, and Sullivan said in the press conference this week that there was questions at quarterback, and he didn't know yet what was going to happen. I believe that they're going to try to move Tua, definitely, and they're going to try to make a trade because you keep them and you got to pay them that $54 million, and then if you trade them, you're gonna pay a little less. So right there is convenient. So, and you get that headache out of your locker room, having a quarterback that is not playing, that is making $54 million. So you're gonna try to move him, but I think other people are gonna have to be moved also. Schaub, Fitzpatrick, what happens there with the safety, with with the edge rusher? Hill definitely is on the plane, and then you might have also to consider some other starters to be able to make put together a decent team that you can compete with. And we're talking Jackson, maybe the right tackle. He's had some injury problems. He makes pretty good money. So, and they had a guy that was a free agent that played most of the games last season, anyways, and he didn't do that bad at right tackle. So there's going to be other movement there, and I think it's interesting. I don't know what you think about this, but was what Sullivan has said, that he's going to build through the draft, and at the beginning especially, very very careful with the free agents that he brings in. Anyways, not going to have much money to bring in. So that
Yeah.
tells me, Tyler, that this is at least a 2-year project, because the Denvers and the New Englands of the world, that it can click like that in a year. It can happen, but right off the bat, they had a quarterback. So Miami right now does not have a quarterback. I don't know if you agree or disagree.
I agree, but then New England got their quarterback from the draft, so I think you got to take that into account.
No,
You
that's what I
know,
mean. But
yeah, yeah,
that change came after having that quarterback this
yeah. I
season. Yeah.
think it comes through the fact that at that position, at the end of the day, if there's a good quarterback that's available, you got to wonder why. At the end of the day, if teams hold on to those guys for dear life, they pay them very well. So I agree with, if that's your stance that building through the draft is good, I agree. I think, that's where you need to go. You need to identify who's going to be the best guy for whatever system it is that you're running, or find somebody and build a system around them. That's my preferred method of doing
Yeah.
things. Um, and then at the end of the day, move forward with that. So I agree. I also think you need to be willing to spend money in free agency at the right time when things are needed, and hopefully he knows that. I'll assume he does. Um, I don't think this will be the draft that they get that
Will
quarterback.
be
With
next
that
year,
being said,
27.
probably, yeah, yeah. I'm glad you agree on that. I don't think they need to reach and get and try to make that try to make somebody their quarterback that shouldn't be. I think just accept the fact that it won't be this year and see what happens next year.
Yeah, and the possibility of Willis, the guy from Green Bay, the second stringer, played well when Love was hurt. So that is a possibility, but he's going to ask for good money. And some people are saying around $30 million for 2 years or maybe more. So I don't know if they want to, invest that money when they're probably thinking that maybe he's not the guy that is going to actually keep, that the possibilities of him, being a guy that is going to be there for a few years is maybe 30%, 30, 40%. So I don't know whether you make that move and spend that much
Well,
money.
I agree with him being worth that based off of his play, but the way that this draft is set up, the teams that need quarterbacks are picking early, and the first few quarterbacks that are available, Dante Moore, Fernando Mendoza, player,
No,
you know.
Dante decided to go back.
Oh yeah, you're
He's
right, you're
back
right,
in
you're right, you're
Oregon.
right, you're right. Yeah, yeah, which which is
So
interesting.
you
But
have
but yeah, yeah,
less.
you
You have less to
yeah,
choose from.
yeah. No, you're right. But we're gonna talk about the Miami Heat now. Tyler Hero got a rib injury. He's played only 11 games out of 42 this year. Just, I mean, has been. I won't blame somebody for getting injured. I'll just say that when you look at somebody who's being considered as a trade piece, it's easier said than done. Obviously, speaking in hindsight, but you got to get you. It's I just wish the team, or you wish the team made the move, ahead of time. You wish they traded him when he was at his peak value, because I think they could have got a lot more for him than they would right now. At this point, he's viewed as a player who's getting injured a lot. I think if you look at him, his frame doesn't really help that. He doesn't seem like an imposing player who's kind of built for the long run, built for 82 games in a full length playoff run. Um, I I don't know how you feel about that. I'm not sure at this point, if they should wait for another wave of him starting to actually play well before trading to see how much they can get, or just get rid of him immediately.
I think they have to go. Uh, there's basically one whale that might be available, as Riley and company called them, and that is Giannis. That is the only guy that might be available. Now, Miami Heat is going to have enough to get him. That is the question. There will be a lot of competition, and I think the Heat will be in that competition definitely. Uh, but I have my doubts whether they can get him and whether he will be available. So outside of that, if you cannot get a guy that is going to really make a difference, is it worth it? I think that definitely Rozier is gotta be gone because that's $26 million. There's gonna be some appetite for that because it's a aspiring contract. So you move that money, somebody's gonna be interested in being able to move that money for next year, having maybe have a good auction in free agency. So that is doable, very easy. Maybe you can get a decent player with that if you put together a young guy, one of your young guys in that deal. You might get a pretty decent player that can get you up to number five, the most number four. So that is something to consider. Uh, but outside of that, I don't see anything else happening. And in that kind of a deal, I would not put Hero. I would not place Hero in that kind of a deal because I don't think that you'll be getting back enough to put a guy that right now is at least your third best team. It is your third best player. So, you know, they have to develop some of the young guys, Tyler. I think that is the way. And hopefully, sometime in the future, they can get a guy that really makes a difference. Because what I said last week, you need maybe at least one number 10, a superstar, or two or three excellent players on your team to be able to win. And the Heat does not have that right now.
You mentioned a superstar. Who's the superstar in the tire game?
In the entire game, Tyler,
Yeah,
definitely.
I don't know.
You know what I'm going to tell you. Balado Tires, two locations in Miami to serve you better. No tires for bicycles, Tyler. So forget about that. You cannot take your bicycle over there. Northwest 27th Avenue and 16th Street, Southwest 8th Street and 67th Avenue. They have all the major brands. And you need brake service. They also have brake service. And this is a family business. Just like Abuelo and the Nieto are a family, definitely we're a family. Tyler, the Marlins making some moves. The way that the Marlins make moves, trying to save as much money as possible, not risking too much. Their wallet is not very large. They don't have a large wallet. So they made a move. They brought another pitcher from Minnesota. Pretty bad record, but still young guy. He's cheap. Doesn't cost them that much because they need that depth at pitching, Tyler. Remember, they moved Cabrera, they moved Weathers. So there was two guys, a righty and a lefty, that were going to be in the rotation. So you have now still pretty good guys in your rotation. You have, of course, Alcantara, you have Eury Perez, and then you have some other guys there that should do well for you based on their past. Two young guys in Garrett and Mayer and Young. So don't go by the last name of Young. He did pretty well last season for the Marlins. But the problem, Tyler, is that two or three of those guys are not proven. Mayer, Barrett, even Young, they're not proven. And then all of their pitchers, with the exception of Young, Tyler, have had major injuries in the last couple of years. So that is why, right now, I'm saying it, you have to bring at least another pitcher that has experience as a starter and that is sort of a little more than mediocre. But the history of the Marlins, that is not going to be easy to get done. But that's what worries me the most: the pitching, the starting pitching, where they'll have guys available when it comes August and September. How many guys are gonna say I'm ready to pitch? So that is the way that I'm seeing it right now. But you have something very nice, very important to add now to the podcast, Tyler. A segment that I always look forward to, right?
That's right. We love this segment. This is a Miami athlete, Miami legend. This is also, I didn't know this, but a Hispanic athlete. I'm not sure if you knew that either.
No?
His uncle was Ricky Gutierrez, MLB baseball player Ricky Gutierrez.
Yes, Ricky, of
Uh,
course.
yes, we're talking about James Jones, former Miami Heat NBA champion. He won three champions. He won two with the Heat, and then he went over with LeBron at the Cavaliers. Played, at American High School in Hialeah. Went over at University of Miami. Had a great career there. Third team All Big East in 2002. Was one of the best, 3-point shooters in both Miami Heat and University of Miami history. And has now gone on to have a very successful career as an executive. He was NBA Executive of the Year in 2021. And he went from, working for the Phoenix Suns to now actually being the executive vice president of the NBA, and he's their president of basketball operations as well. So, worked his way up for being a solid role player to now being a highly ranked executive, in one of the biggest organizations in the country, sports or non-sports.
Yes, definitely. James Jones, a guy that did very well for the Heat and then kept going in his career in the ABA. Also, like you stated, as an executive, he's done very well for himself. Tyler, Balado Tires, 63 years established in the market. That is a very long time. And they have two locations, Northwest 27th Avenue and 16th Street, Southwest 8th Street and 67th Avenue. If you're looking for tires here in South Florida, the place to go, definitely, it is Balado Tires. But we got to one of the favorite segments, Tyler. You're going to beat me up like you always do, right?
I am. This is somebody who almost got a Miami legend. He'll probably get one at some point. Yeah, and you should know this. So just think about it.
This is
Think about
but
notable names.
remember, we have to say that this is Miami sports trivia. So I
Yes,
didn't
yes.
say
Oh,
it.
I think the audience should know by now. But yes, if you are new, this is Miami Sports Trivia. We quiz each other. You're right. You're right. We quiz each other on local legends, local stats, local facts. Hopefully, we remember them. A lot of the times we don't. But this one,
Well,
I think you'll
I
have.
do that. I'm the one that doesn't know.
Well, sometimes you'll give me a few hard ones as well. So I've lately I've missed a few. I think last week I messed up as well with the Testaverde Kozar.
Mhm.
This one right here, like I said, I think you should get it right. This is your alma mater, and I also think just in terms of notable names attached to the university, get the wheels turning. Who is FIU's all-time assist leader? He also finished second all-time in points. I don't know where he's at in points now, but he finished second in all-time.
Oh my God, Tyler, these last names, Taylor, the the star player for the Puerto Rican team, right?
Yes.
Oh my
Okay.
God. Wow, my God. Oh, he played for the Heat. I have it right here, Tyler, but I that it kills me. It kills me, that I forget those last names, Tyler. Come on, tell me.
Can you give me the first name?
Uh, oh my God. Doesn't come to me. I can see him playing, I can see him playing at the point guard position. Quick player. But
Yeah.
doesn't come to me. Go ahead.
All right. This is Carlos Arroyo.
Of course.
Carlos Arroyo. Yes,
Carlos
you had it
Arroyo.
right. Puerto Rican, and Arroyo played several years in the NBA. He also played at FIU. He was their all-time assist leader, finished second all-time in points. Went on to have a pretty successful career. He was a Miami Heat's point guard at one point in time, and he was the starting point guard for that Puerto Rican national team that beat the United States in 2004, and that was the team that had LeBron, Dwayne Wade, all these great guys, and they upset the United States. So Carlos Arroyo, great player, and also went to Miami as well. So in terms of Miami legends, high school, college, NBA, kind of like James Jones there, and that's it's kind of like the dream if you're an athlete from down.
I'm sorry, Carlos. The old man, forgot you, but that's nothing new. Tyler, you should be able to handle this one. All right. Name at least four of Miami Heat players and coaches selected to the NBA Hall of Fame. I'm not going to ask you for everybody. I'm just asking you for four, to name four Hall of Famers.
Players or coaches? Yeah.
Uh huh.
Okay, that's easy. I'll go Dwayne Wade, Shaquille O'Neal, Pat Riley, and Chris Bosh.
And what was the last one?
Chris Bosh.
Yes.
Chris
Yes.
Bosh.
There are a total of nine, Tyler. A total of nine. And I'll give you all the names: Dwayne
Can I
Wade,
try
Tim
to get the rest?
Hardaway.
Can I try to get the rest? Can I
Okay, go
try to get the
ahead. Go
rest?
ahead. Go ahead.
All right. So it was Dwayne Wade, Pat Riley, Shaquille O'Neal, Chris Bosh, Tim Hardaway, Alonzo Mourning. We're at 6.
Uh huh.
Um, Gary Payton 7.
Uh huh. All right. Uh,
Wait.
uh, I'll give you the last two.
All right, I'll give up. Yeah, give
Okay.
me the last two.
Bob McAdoo, assistant coach, Bob McAdoo with the Heat, and also uh, you said Bosch, Ray Allen, and Ray Allen is the other one. So that's a
Oh,
total of nine, Heat players and coaches in the Hall of Fame. But they also have an owner in Billy Cunningham, and of course, the current owner of the Heat, Mr. Harrison, also in the Hall of Fame. Tyler, we have done it again. Number 72, Abuelo and the Nieto. We're in TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, you name it.
Yeah.
We talk Miami sports. The Nieto over there, here, the Abuelo. Arrivederci. Hasta luego.